we found a lot of success when I founded the company back in 2017. We grew the construction company that we had from zero to just under $15 million in annual revenue in four, it felt like long but short years.
Yeah.
And with that, we had a lot of good things going on, a lot of systems and processes in place that worked for us. But what they don't tell you when you go to start a new franchise is what worked for a singular location that you think would be duplicatable and work for multiple locations. The technology, the reporting, the visibility, the control, all of that stuff. Nobody really tells you that like the things to look out for. So we brought in a few franchisees relatively quickly and found out that, holy crap, a lot of the systems and processes and infrastructure that we have that worked for us to get to 15 million may not be exactly ideal for our franchisees and for our franchise systems. Basically had to strip everything down and rebuild it from the ground up over the last 18 months. And it's been challenging. It's been fun at the same time because creating new strategic relationships, just really going through the grind in the early days of just digging your heels in and just getting to work and being innovative, coming up with solutions and stuff like that. So it was a dog fight, but it was a lot of fun. And we have a very strong foundation and a very strong core of technology and systems and processes and stuff like that to really get us from where we are today, which is just under 20 locations, to me and my team are incredibly confident that what we have today, obviously there's some things that need to be tweaked along the way, but feel very confident that what we have today is something that's going to help us to get to 100 locations relatively quick. I'd say within 2 to 3 years. If we talk in 3 years from now, we should be talking about 100 locations. Not so all that those early stage learning opportunities, we kind of capitalized on them, pivoted really quick, did not overanalyze, overthink, or overcomplicate things. Just made decisions, made them quick, and kept moving forward. And we're in a good spot right now, man. I'm very fortunate to be where I am today.
So 100 locations. I think your goal is $1 billion in like 5 years. But just to backtrack, I know you're fourth generation contractor. Did you have like one moment where like, hey, I want to be a business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur. Like the one moment that kind of changed your perspective. Is there one moment that you can think
So
of?
yeah, I think from the moment I was born, I know that sounds kind of cliche, but like I've never had a real job. Like I've never worked for anybody. I've never done what most people do. I've never had a W-2. I've never been a W-2 employee. I don't know what that world even looks like. So, from a real young age, I started swinging a hammer and putting on a tool belt to help my father. And even then, I mean, he was paying me as I was a 1099 subcontractor for him. So I've always done my own thing. I've never worked for somebody. That world of working for somebody has just never even been a thought in my mind. It was a little bit different when in 2017 I decided to not work with my father or some of the other contractors that I was being 1099 labor for, and decided to actually go out and like run a company. There's a difference between being a 1099 subcontractor and helping people because I have a certain skill set, and then actually opening and running a company. So that
So what
shift took,
mindset did you have to do from like, hey, that contractor to the hey, that business owner? That's a big shift from being an employee technically to a business owner. What steps did you have to do to really learn that?
yeah, I took a real liking into sales when I was probably about 19, 20 years old. I started really enjoying sales and the psychology behind it, and then also started doing sales training courses and stuff like that. I don't know if you're familiar with Grant Cardone, but like when I was when I was like 19, 20 years old, man, I got Cardone University and started watching it and training every day. So that was
Never be
kind of,
sold.
yeah, dude, that was kind of the first big thing for me, was starting to really gravitate towards sales and understand sales, and then started selling like the projects for my dad's company. And then that just kind of, I would say, gave me the confidence to feel like, hey, as long as I have a decent offering and I have people that can do the work, feel very confident that I can sell damn near anything. So why not go do it on my own. Sales is an incredible skill, and a lot of people kind of poo poo on it because like no, people don't want to be a salesperson. Like I don't want to be a slimy used car salesperson, but I mean, it's an incredible skill to have. And you get a tremendous amount of power when you're really good at it because no matter what, at the end of the day, the skills that I have from being in sales for the last 9, 10 years of my life and the thousands and thousands of projects that I've sold, like you can't take that away from somebody. So if I had to, I know I could go out and start selling something tomorrow, whether it's a car, whether it's real estate, whether it's roofing or new custom homes, it doesn't matter what it is. I feel incredibly confident to be able to go out and sell stuff. So I think just sharpening those sales skills gave me the confidence to say, as long as I have people that can do the work, I'll sell it. So let's just pull the band-aid and roll with it. And then there's never going to be a good time. Like you
Yeah.
can read all the books, you can do all the training in the world, but until you actually go out and put it to use and actually apply whatever it is that you're learning, like there's never a good time. You just got to go out and put in the reps, and you're going to suck ass at first, but just understanding that putting in the reps is a part of the deal, and you're not going to be perfect overnight. So just pull the band-aid, roll with it, and run with the punches. That's been our mentality forever, whether it was starting the business, the construction business, and growing that to $15 million. That's the first time I ever grew a company to $15 million, right? So the whole entire time I was learning the transitioning from a corporate model to a franchise concept. Even today, every single day, I'm learning, right? So none of us are ever prepared for what we're about to do because the next location I bring on, if that puts us at 19 locations, I've never had 19 locations before, right? So
Yeah.
every day, every week, every month is a new challenge. It's something new. So if you're trying to be overly prepared, you're just going to stagnate and never really do anything.
So when you, let's say, like when you're trying to sell or negotiate or anything, what, like, because I've always heard it's like the more you learn, the more you know about your customer, the more that you know what they want, it's like you're just solving a win-win for everyone. You're not trying to convince them of anything. You're trying to learn what they need and provide that value. Is that kind of how your approach is when you like sell a roof, sell a franchise, etc.?
Yeah, I think that's why what I do is incredibly hard to teach because it's hard to teach people how to make people feel confident making a buying decision. There's a lot of like scripted things and sales systems and processes and stuff like that, and they work because they tap into the psychology of the human mind, and humans for the most part are all wired the same. But
Yeah.
my approach has always been so like I inherently believe that salespeople are ignorant. I believe that as salespeople, we and they believe that they know what the prospect or the customer wants. And that's not true. You don't know unless you ask. And sometimes asking a question doesn't uncover the real answer. So you have to ask another question. You have to continue to dig to get to the root of exactly why this person wants this or needs this or is interested in buying, right? So I believe that salespeople are, like I said, inherently, and we just believe that like a one size fits all, and what Tyler wants is what Carney wants, and that's not the same thing. I always use the analogy when we're talking to our salespeople that if I give you $2,000 and I give somebody else $2,000, you guys are going to spend it a different way.
Yeah.
And what you see value in and what I see value in, like I love to hunt and fish. If you don't like to hunt and fish, you'd never spend 3 grand on a bow, but I already have, right? Like, because
Yeah.
that's my hobby. That's what I love to do.
Yeah.
So if you don't see value in it, then you're not going to spend money on it. So it's just my approach has always been giving people the confidence to, because when you're talking about a customer and somebody who needs to make a decision, people don't want to make the wrong decision. That's the thing. They're fearful. It's not that they don't want to move forward. It's not that they don't want to solve this problem. It's not that they don't want to buy this product or whatever it is. It's that they don't want to make the wrong decision. So you have to make sure that you're giving these people the utmost confidence in yourself, the brand, the services that you're offering, so that it's a no-brainer. I know I'm not making the wrong decision by choosing Carney or choosing CR3 or whatever it is. But that takes a tremendous amount of skill to be able to sit in front of people and kind of peel back that onion and get through all those different layers in a transaction and in a customer. What most people do is they treat every transaction and every customer exactly the same, and they win some, they lose some. and they never really seemed to know why. They're like, same pitch, same process. I closed one, it was great. The other, the reaction was different, and I never heard from them ever again. So
Yeah.
like you ever do like a disc assessment? There's like the 4 different personality traits. So just me, and I'm not a sales genius or expert by any means, but just generally speaking, if there's 4 different personality types and I'm one of them, I'm gonna just by process of elimination, that means I'm going to sell and close at a 25% clip, right? Because
Yeah, I agree.
one out of every 4 are like me, so I'm going to relate to people like me. So where you really start to see that extra success and the close rates go up and high conversion rates is when you start to look at other personalities and like what makes those people tick, and then you're able to identify, I'm this type of personality. This makes sense to me, but this customer is the complete opposite. I have to cater my pitch, my approach, my consultation to a different type of personality because I'm not talking to somebody like me that's across the table. And then you start to figure out how to get 5% or 10% of the personalities that aren't like you to start converting. Next thing you know, you're at a 45-50% close rate just
So do
because
you
you're
know what the
understanding
four
personality.
personalities are?
It's DISC, DSC. It's I off the top of my head, no, but I mean, you have like people who are overly aggressive, and like somebody like me, you don't, and I would imagine like you, Tyler, for the most part, you're not going to bore us with an hour and a half long sales presentation. We know what we want. We've already done research. Just give me the fucking price. What are we doing here, dude? Like you're wasting my time and your time. I already know what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
An elderly woman who is her spouse passed away, like she needs a little bit of TLC. Like she needs somebody to hold her hand and instill confidence that like this is the right decision, and I'm looking out for you and protecting your finances, protecting your investment. So like, you got to just treat those people different. You try to treat somebody with a class A personality who's super aggressive like that, they're gonna be like, dude, get out of here. Just give me a number.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that you mentioned not being afraid. So, did you ever have growing your business? Did you have like, hey, I'm not afraid to grow a business? Most people get that fear of, hey, I'm afraid to fail. Did you have that, or what makes you different that you don't necessarily have that fear on growing a business or fear of failing?
Yeah, this is probably not good for me to say out loud, but I'm gonna say it. But I mean, what alternative do I have? Like my alternative is stay here and do the same exact thing every day, every week, every month, and that's the story of me, right?
Yeah,
And if everything crashed and burned tomorrow, I'm very confident in myself, like my individual skill set that like I can go make money. If all it's about is making 150, 200,000, $250,000, like I can go sell something. I can go sell anything. I can go work for anybody and sell product and make $250,000, right?
yeah,
Um, for me personally, I think it's 2 things. I think it's a level of security in myself, knowing that I possess a certain skill set and have knowledge and things that I've gained over the last eight years or so that like you can't take away from me. So I'm valuable in the marketplace. So like, why would I not try and do something crazy? Why would I not try and push the
yeah,
issue and grow this thing as big and as bad as we possibly can? And why would I let fear get in the way? Because what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is it, and obviously we don't ever anticipate this happening, but worst case scenario is it all crashes and burns and I have to go get a regular job and go sell
yeah,
stuff and try and make 200 grand. So like that to me is not like I'm not worried about myself personally, right? I worry way more about the other people around me, the employees, the franchisees. I worry way more about them than I worry about myself personally because I know that I'll be okay regardless at the end of the day because of who I am and the confidence that I have in myself. But the other thing too, I think Tyler is like I'm not, and we've never as a company, and I got to give credit to my partner because he's you've met Mark, right?
that's the only person in your team I have not met yet.
Okay, so Mark is he hoards cash. Like he likes to operate off our own working capital. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I think that what that does is it helps to relieve anxiety and stress, because like we don't have debt. Like we don't owe banks hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. We work off of all our own working capital. We make investments that are smart, quick, rash decisions. We make them based on not emotion, but based on facts. And what that does is it allows us to run a company off of our own working capital versus owing banks millions and millions of dollars like a lot of people do. So I think between the self confidence and then the fact that we're not over leveraged and have a ton of debt out there, it makes it a lot easier to continue to put the pedal to the metal, knowing that like I don't owe anybody anything, so we can continue to push the issue here. And if at any point we get in a little bit over our head, we just tune it back a little bit because I don't owe 50 grand a month to a debt collector.
Yeah. So you mentioned partners. I've heard like in this last couple of minutes, I've heard you talk about some things that Bob Gappa tells me, and same thing with John and Mark. When you find strategic partners, strive find people that like fit your vision on what you want to do in your life. How do you find the right partners, and what do you specifically look for when you found mentors, partners, etc.?
So partnerships are one of the funny things that you talk about in business. And it's like, I always relate partnerships to like marriages. Like we've all known somebody who had a bad marriage and they will tell you, I'll never get married again. Don't do it. It's the worst mistake ever. Right. And then you have people who've had healthy, successful marriages saying, there's no way I could live this life without my spouse. There's no way I could do what I've done without my spouse. So I see partnerships as very similar. Like there's people who've had good experiences and there's people who've had bad experiences. And that's why there's such a stigma of partners being good, partners being bad. I think it's very similar to marriage, but the big thing for me is it has to be the right fit. This is a marriage. Like we're not going to agree. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to have little bickerments and arguments about where we're spending money and when we're spending money. And that's just a part of what we're signing up for. But we have to understand each other. We have to respect each other. And the biggest thing for me is like there needs to be value from both parties, me, my partner, partners, whatever. And we each have to possess a skill set that the other one doesn't have. Because if I bring in a partner that is identical to me, either I'm no good or that person's no good, right? So one of us is
Yeah,
useless. One of us is useless at that point. So like I would never bring in a partner that has similar skill sets to me. It wouldn't make sense. I need somebody who possesses skills that I don't, or maybe it's something that I'm not interested in, but I know I need it. That's where the real value is, because then we won't really ever step on each other's toes, and I'll never say I can do what you can do, and you'll never say I can do what Carnie can do, right? So it helps to create a healthy bond where we understand each other. You have your roles and responsibilities, I have mine, and obviously you have to be aligned. Like if you have a partner that doesn't have the same vision as you, that's going to be pretty tough. If you want to go and grow to 250 locations, but your partner's saying, I only want 20, that could be very problematic for you. So you got to make sure that you guys understand each other. You can work well. You understand that it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows, but you got to understand each other. You got to have different skill sets and you got to have similar vision. As long as all those things align, I love partnerships. I don't know that I will ever own or run a business at any point in my life and not have partners. I don't think it'll ever happen, because I know how powerful it is to have people on my team that they're a shortcut because they know something or have something that you don't. So to get somebody, if it's just a regular employee, I don't know that that's necessarily enough to get you where you need to go. And there's plenty of people who have built crazy, incredible things and had no partners. And I believe that those people are incredibly talented. But if you are not the most talented person in the world, then you need to bring people around you. And for the most part, people who are incredibly talented, who possess very strong skill sets, they want to join the ride and they want to be on it long term. And usually that's going to require some type of partnership.
So you mentioned partnerships. I know you're a shark hunter, whale hunter, elk hunter, but did you ever have it play any sports?
Yeah, I played football and lacrosse growing up.
Okay. Because that's what I see it as. It's like your partners are almost like your teammates. There's in your business, but also like your mentors, like your coach. So how do you distinguish like who's the right mentor? Because a lot of people are trying to figure out how to find the right mentor to help them grow.
Yeah, I think that you gotta be careful because like we live in a digital age where like everybody is a mentor or like a business coach, and you got
Yeah.
somebody who drives around in a Lamborghini. And they want to teach life advice, right? So I think you got to be incredibly careful who you get your advice from. And this may sound ignorant, but like I'm never going to get advice from somebody who has done less than I've done. Like I'll value your opinion if you have an opinion or you have something that you want to say, but I'm not taking life advice or professional advice from somebody who hasn't accomplished what I have, right? So I think you gotta figure out like where you want to go and who has been there before, because if they've been there they can provide you an enormous shortcut. It's franchising 101. Like the reason that people decide to join a franchise is there's people who have already built a $15 million roofing company, and I'm currently trying to start a roofing company, but I don't know who to talk to, where to go, what CRM system I should get, what type of measurements should I get, how do I estimate, right? There's all these different moving pieces and parts, and what we are is we're a mentor. Like we're giving you the playbook, we're giving you the blueprint because we've done it the last 8 years, and it's going to provide you a shortcut. So a mentor for me has to be somebody who's credible and provides me with somewhat of a shortcut. Like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who has the advice, who has the skill set, who could keep me from making a mistake or help to coach me through a certain scenario and let me discover my own flaws or my own mistakes. Like a really good mentor is almost like a therapist. They will they will talk to you because they know that they're not being a good mentor if they just give you the answer. So they will help to kind of, even though they may know the answer, a really good mentor will work with you to help you to discover the answer because they know that that's the only way that you're actually going to learn. Or you just become their lifeline, and then every time you have a problem or a question, you're just going to pick up the phone and call your mentor. I believe that you just got to be very mindful of who that mentor is and just make sure that they're credible, because we live in a world where there's so many people who want to be life coaches, and just because they have a sports car doesn't mean they're successful or
Yeah.
able to teach you how to run a business.
So you mentioned pitfalls or things to join from a mentor, look from like their pitfalls, you can learn from them. So what are some of the maybe mistakes you made, like hurdles that you had to overcome when growing your business?
A lot. I've replaced the wrong roof like 3 times. So I always joke and tell people I'm going to write a book about some of the crazy stuff that I've seen over the last 8 years of being in construction. I mean everything you can possibly imagine. There's very little relationships or vendors that I still have today that I had 7.5 years ago when I started the business, right? So it's just a constant evolution, and you get with a tech company and it's not what you thought it was, or you get with a marketing company and it's not what you thought it was. So I don't know, I don't have any like earth shattering mistakes because I've always been, I'm a very optimistic person, and like the hurdles, the mistakes, I just look at them as like gates where if we all think our problems are unique to us, and they're not. Like the problems, the battles that I'm fighting every single day here are the same battles that anybody that's further ahead than me had to go through, or that are behind me nipping at my heels have to go through. So every time we deal with something that just feels like an absolute pain in the ass, or it's a headache, or you're losing sleep at night, I've always just kind of reminded myself that like anybody who's further ahead than where I am right now, they had to go through this same stuff. Or anybody who's behind me, my competition, good luck, because I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance. So let's see if you can go through this same shit and get out on the other end of it, right? So
Yeah.
I think that there's a little bit of like a little bit of bliss there, where when you accomplish those hard things or get past those hard things, I think it just builds confidence. And once again, the thing for me is just kind of knowing that other people have to go through that now. And anybody who wants to do what we're doing or has already done it has already seen it, right? So a lot of people think that their problems are unique to them, and they're not. They want to cry and bitch and complain that they have all this bad stuff going on. Well, guess what? We all do. Like there's never a calm day in business and in franchising. So get used to it. And if you can't get used to it, then you're probably in the wrong industry.
So, from an entrepreneur, a CEO, a franchisor, how do you determine what is signal, what is noise, what is priority, and what is not? So the hardest part for me, I've realized, is everyone's throwing the information, everyone wants your attention. How do you prioritize what is, I guess, signal, or what is priority and what is not?
Yeah, that's an incredibly hard thing to try and navigate and figure out, right? I mean, I think at some point you're just in survival mode, right? Where you're just trying to field everything, and every problem, big or small, requires attention. You got to figure out which ones require your attention and which ones require your immediate attention. Now, not everybody has the benefit of having some staff, right? Like some people are it's just them and one other person. Maybe it's them by themselves. So every single one of those problems or issues or things, they require your attention to address them or they're not getting done. So getting to a point where you understand that you can't do everything and starting to train and develop and hire and build a team is incredibly important. To do that as fast as you can, as responsibly as you can, without over leveraging yourself. But I mean, it's prioritizing stuff, and like what is the most pressing, what could lead to revenue gain or revenue loss is usually where I put my attention first. If there's an opportunity to make money that requires my attention, I'm going to go there. If there's a problem that's going to result in revenue lost or opportunities lost, I'm going to put my attention there as well. Anything other than that is probably not that big of a deal, right? So those two things would take priority in my world. Is anything that could directly affect revenue, good or bad.
Makes sense. Or like what I hear all the time is priority, and this is details.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the details, in my opinion, details matter. I mean, but it depends on what we're talking about and what we're looking at, right? I think one of the big problems is, and I've started to learn this and apply this into my own life, is like John Hewitt's the master of having a 5 minute conversation, but he's really effective and he's really good at getting to the point. John, that a perfect example of not getting into details is John doesn't want to know all of the different details. And I'm starting to program, because I communicate with John so much now. I'm starting to understand that I don't need all the details. I don't need to talk on the phone for 15 or 20 minutes and understand how we got here, because that's not the decision that I need to make. The decision that I need to make is what we're doing. Or have you already hopefully figured out what you're doing and you're just telling me what you're about to do? So
Yeah.
that's one of the big things, is like having those, like a lot of us spend too much time just analyzing a problem instead of just getting the information and the information that we need, making a decision and moving forward. Most stuff should not require more than 5 to 10 minutes of our attention or our bandwidth to solve it, especially if you have team members. Figure out what it is, figure out what the solution is, or hopefully the intended solution, come up with a game plan and press forward. Let's not overanalyze it too much.
Yeah, John's signal to noise ratio is incredible. I need to try to get on that, get to there. But
He's the master of it.
oh, for sure. But so everyone's always talking about like work life balance, work life balance. Do you? I have my opinion on it. What do you think about it?
I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Work life balance is, I mean, how can you have balance, right? Like you got to sleep for 8 hours, you got to work out for an hour every day. You got to eat right, you got to take care of yourself, and you go to work for 10, 12 hours a day, and you expect that there's going to be balance at home. Like it's not. It's the hardest thing ever when you're in a position like you and I are, Tyler, to make sure that your personal life is prioritized. We have a tremendous amount of responsibility as leaders to take care of people, right? We have over 100 people in our system right now who all rely on me to make the right decision, right? And if they have a problem, they need me or my team to be available to help them, because although it may not seem like the end of the world to us, if these guys are sitting at a project and they don't know how to solve a problem, or they got a pissed off customer, or they don't know how to sell this project because the estimating tool's not working properly, like that's a big deal for them. That could be the difference between them making an extra 5 grand this week versus making no money at all. Right. So might not seem like the end of the world to us or our family, but for those guys, it may be damn near the end of the world. Right. So
Yeah.
it's an incredible responsibility that we have as leaders for our immediate team members, the people around us, all the other people that are impacted by what we do. And there's a huge responsibility there, and it's incredibly hard to balance that with your personal life. I'm trying to figure that out. Honestly, I'm newly married, and try to make sure that everything is good at home. My wife has what she needs, but it's incredibly difficult to figure out how to navigate that and balance that. And I would say, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this, but I would say when you're at work, do work. Like, be at work, be present at work, give it 100%. And hopefully your family, I would assume when we're talking work life, we're talking family and work, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
All the way back.
So when you're at work, focus on work. Let the family know. My wife, we talk throughout the day, but it's very little, right? It's not, we're not having 30-minute conversations on the phone. I just don't have time for it. So like when you're at work, be at work. And then when you get home, try and be at home. Try and, so like you don't work life balance 50-50%, 50-50 split's not going to happen. But like when you're at work or you're at home, give it 100% while you're there. And I think as long as you do that or make a decent attempt at doing that, that you can try and keep the wheels on the bus. And then obviously there's an evolution that needs to take place. Like me and you are in the early stages where it requires so much effort. It's an unbelievable amount of effort that it takes. And until you build a team and until your team matures and you start to have layers, you can eventually protect yourself a little bit. But for right now, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're a year, 2 years, 3 years, anything sub 5 years, like you're going to be working your butt off, and things are going to sacrifice because of it.
You mentioned working out every day. How important is it for you to work out every day in order for you to do what you need to do? For me, if I don't work out every day, I start getting kind of tense. I need that like outlet to kind of throw all my problems for. It's like when people say like you can lift a lot. I was like, well, I'm just working off all my problems.
So
I'm curious your thoughts on it.
I'll give you Lexi's number. You can call her. She'll tell you all about it. I'm a much better human when I'm working out. Like between Lexi, my wife, and my business partner Mark, both of those two, if I'm in a bad mood or they start to notice like I'm just like in a shit mood, they'll be like, you need to go work out or you need to start working out again. So like my whole mood is contingent on it. We try to wake up every single morning, and it happens I'd say 95% of the time. Wake up every single morning, do fasted cardio for 30-35 minutes, and then usually lift in the evening after work. And like you talked about like work life balance, like that's a chance for me and Lexi to just like be together. And although we're not like, we're working out, right? So it's hard to really communicate, but like at least we're like together, right? My phone's not on. I'm not on the phone taking phone calls and banging out Slack messages. So the first thing in the morning, that's our time to like kind of work out, make breakfast together, hang out for a little bit before I go to work. And then when I get back, we get an hour in the gym to ourselves as well. And that's what we like to do. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel productive, and that's like our like little happy space to keep me from going off the deep end from time to
I
time.
would love to see a CR3 growth graph along with your bench press max. See how if they run in parallel.
I don't think it's any secret that most of, not all of them, but a large majority of very successful entrepreneurs are incredibly fit. Like I don't think that's coincidence. I think that people understand, well, one, it improves confidence, it makes you feel better, it gives you an edge, you got more energy. There's so many benefits to it outside of just like looking good that honestly like I do care about how I look, but that's not why I'm there, which is the craziest part because that's why 90% of America is there because they care more about how they look than how they feel.
So one of the things I was always curious about, because you know you and your wife work together. So me and my wife used to do a bunch of house flips together, and it's safe to say our company culture at that time was not great because it was like we were flipping together, so we would always kind of argue and kind of like trying to almost leave that at the door and then going to home. How has that been balancing work and now keeping it separated?
Yeah, I mean, so Lexi, she doesn't work in the office with us. She works remote, like she works from home. She handles all the social media and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I think it's fine. It's perfect for me because if I want to go somewhere or pack up and travel to go see a franchisee or we want to hit the road and whether it's vacation or whatever, like it makes it very convenient for me because she can, as long as she has her phone and I'm signing off on it, we can go and kind of do whatever, right? So there's a level of
Yeah.
freedom and flexibility that comes with that, which is very nice and also somewhat needed. And it allows us to, once again, be together more. So, like, we were just out in Arizona, we were in Tennessee, and these are all work trips and she goes with me, so it's nice because even when I do have to leave or go do stuff with work, I'm able to bring her. Oftentimes if we can drive, we're bringing the dogs, so we're keeping the family together and chasing this dream at the same time. But I think the one thing that I would imagine almost everybody battles is we get the opinion of our spouses, and they have a certain opinion that for the most part is looking out for our best interest when, like, I'm terrible at looking out for myself. Like I'm very selfless and it gets me in trouble sometimes because I care so much about other people and how other people feel and how they're doing that I neglect to take care of myself often. Lexi tries to remind me of that sometimes, and I'm hard-headed, I'm stubborn, so I don't always agree or want to hear that, right? So you just gotta learn to, in my opinion, you gotta learn to understand that that person sees things a little bit different than you do in most cases. And the reason that they bring things to your attention or will kind of harp on you about certain things is because they care about you and they want to see you get whatever it is that you want out of this life and this dream that you're chasing. But as somebody who's in it every single day, sometimes it's hard for us to recognize that. And then we start getting defensive and stuff like that. So I think it's
Yeah.
difficult, man. It's being a CEO, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It takes a toll on yourself. It takes a toll on your relationships. It takes a toll on your spouse and family members. It is not for the faint of heart. And our spouses deserve an award for putting up with us.
You mentioned goals, dreams, and all that. So one of my best friends, we played played football together, and he always said, "Don't compete, dominate." So
Hmm.
that train so hard that winning becomes mandatory. So how does CR3 and how do you plan to get to that $1 billion mark to kind of differentiate yourself so far away from your competitors that winning becomes mandatory? How do you plan to do that?
One thing I say all the time is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like it's mandatory. You don't have an option. You have to be okay when and calm when chaos is around, right? So being comfortable, being uncomfortable is incredibly important because as humans, like we seek comfort. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to be in uncomfortable situations. We don't like the unknown. So you have to be in a position where you're okay not knowing what's at the end of the road and you're just figuring it out. You have to get super comfortable being uncomfortable. And I mean, it's hard to beat somebody who doesn't give up
Yeah.
unless we put ourselves out of business, which isn't going to happen. A billion dollars in annual revenue, if we never quit, we'll get there eventually, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if it's going to take 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. I'm only 31 years old, right? So I got a lot of gas in the tank. I'm not even, I mean, I'd say if I wanted to, I still got 40 years of my professional career in front of me. And I've only been doing this for 8 years. So I just, I think if you have to be resilient. You have to continue to show up every single day, every week, every month, and you have to be okay with not knowing what you're doing. because nobody knows what they're doing. The more that I'm around people who perform and do well, like I have friends that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars and they still don't have it all figured out, right? So every time that you're trying to grow, every time that you're trying to do something new, you're going to be in a state of not knowing and not having all the answers. So you just have to get comfortable understanding that. And as long as you're resilient and you don't give up, who says that you can't do it?
Yeah, I like what you said about being comfortable by being uncomfortable. I feel like when you're uncomfortable, things you hate to do is things you don't necessarily like to do. It's just like giving yourself an opportunity to make your weaknesses your strengths. What's some of the things that you've had to develop within yourself to kind of work on to being a better CEO, a better leader? Because that's not necessarily something like we just become natural. Like we always have to grow and get better.
Yeah, I one of the big things for me is the ability to just kind of think, which is it's underutilized in my opinion. And once again, I got to give credit to my partner Mark. He's always been a big advocate of like we just need time to think, right? Sometimes it's very hard to just find time to think, right? You got so much going on and you have all these emails to answer. You got this long to-do list. When are you possibly going to find time to think, right? But for me, it's always been like kind of ebbs and flows for me where there's the thinking part that happens and it's like, okay, these are the chess pieces that we're going to move. And then we're doing all the work and I'm not thinking a whole lot. We're just moving the pieces, we're doing the work, we're getting everything situated. And then once that initiative gets situated, then I'm cleared up to think a little bit, right? And then it's okay, here's the next thing. And then I'm tied up and we're working again. So it's constantly for me over the years been like ebbs and flows of thinking and then doing the work and then thinking and doing the work. But
Yeah,
a lot of people just do the work. And I wish I could just do the thinking, but
you're right.
I don't have a big enough staff to be able to execute on all the things that are in my brain just yet. So it requires me to tighten up my boots and get to work. But yeah, a lot of people they don't ever think. They just do. They just do, and they just react. And it's hard to really grow a business and seek opportunity and look at ways to advance the organization if you're just so caught up in the day-to-day activities that you're not thinking, you're just doing and aimlessly going through the motions. So just getting yourself in a point where you recognize like, hey, I've been doing too much doing here recently, and I need to start thinking and looking at ways to expand this and seeking out opportunities to continue to help the franchisees to chase their individual goals, but then also look at the long-term vision and goal of the future as well. And just having a clear mind and being able to think is incredibly important. And one of the things that allows me to think is putting my phone down and working out in the gym. Some of my best ideas and stuff like that come from when I'm working out. Or like I used to think mowing the grass is crazy. Like who would want to do that? But it's actually really nice because I can't talk on my phone and I have a zero turn. So like both my hands are occupied. So for 45 minutes, I'm mowing the grass and I have no distractions and it's a chance to like think for a little bit, right? Without just hammering out emails or my phone notifications going off. My phone's in my pocket. I can't even feel it vibrating. And I can just think for 45 minutes while I mow the grass.
Yeah, I love what you say about thinking in chess. One thing I really learned from John Hewitt is like he's living in the future. He's living in that 5 years strategy for playing chess. He knows all the pieces around him at that 5 years. So how do you envision from like recruiting your teammates, recruiting people, say, hey, I know in 5 years, $1 billion, who's going to be around us? How do you almost, in other words, think? How do you find the right people to think that far?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a plan, right? Like it's one thing to say it and to voice it. It's another thing to actually have a plan and reverse engineer it. And I mean, we've had planning sessions before where it looks like Rain Man was in this office and we got a whole org chart with different lines going everywhere and thinking of all the different pieces and parts that we're going to need to get there. A lot of it is figuring out where our deficiencies are right now, but then also looking at like, okay, once we get to this point, what type of support, infrastructure, people, whatever it is, are we going to need? I feel incredibly fortunate that, and I could be dead wrong. I could be so far wrong that it's not even close to being a reality, but I believe that we could build a $25 million business. I mean, not a $25 million, $1 billion business. I'm sorry, with 25 people. I don't think that I need a huge staff. I think I need 20 to 25 of the right people to get us where we want to go. I don't see us needing any more than that, which is very cool because most billion-dollar companies they're going to need 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
So to feel that we don't need to carry a massive staff, it makes it a little bit easier, but also makes it harder at the same time because each of those people play such a critical role, that we got to make sure it's the right person. We hire incredibly slow. I'll tell you a funny story. You know Lester, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to Lester about 6 months before we decided that we were going to do something together. I had talked to him for 6 months, just said, I need some time, blah, 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 right? Like we knew that Lester was the right person, but we have a process and we want to make sure, like, if we're bringing key people in, that these people are going to be here for the long run, right? It took me like close to 6 months to finally bring Lester in. And um, he actually was on his way to actually go get another job when I called him and said, "Hey, bro, I'm ready for you." And Lester's been an absolute asset, right?
Oh yeah, for
Who,
sure.
Marcy, who she's been with us for like over 6 years, right? My partner Mark's been with me for 6 years. Um, our controller Kathleen, who you've met as well, she's been with me for 6 years, right? So we have people who have been around us for a long period of time, and those are the type of people that I'm after. I don't want somebody who's coming here as a means to collect a paycheck or a salary and just looking for an opportunity to pay their bills. I want somebody who's joining this mission long term. As long as I can get 20 to 25 of those people on our team, I feel like we can build that $1 billion business. Um, and we won't need 1,000 employees to do it.
So one thing John talks about all the time is like finding people that think like owners. It's hard to find people that think like owners. So when you recruit and you look for people, how do you determine if someone is like maybe result oriented versus like task oriented, or how do they from a thinking like an owner perspective? Like how do you get them to know that they're part of the mission?
Yeah, I think they gotta believe in that mission, right? So people want to be a part of something that they can get behind. Everybody wants to rally behind a sports team or something like that. So, and everybody wants to be on the winning team too.
Yeah.
It's easy when things are going good. It's a little bit harder when things aren't going as good because everybody wants to root for the winning team. Nobody wants to root for the Detroit Lions that haven't won a game all year, right? So
They're pretty good now though. So
I don't know. When I used to watch football, they were the worst team. But no, it's. I mean, it takes time and it takes some of the wrong people to figure that out. But like at the same time, there are positions at your company that you just do need regular employees, right? Like you don't need everybody to act like an owner. You need a few people to act like an owner to help to hold those people accountable and keep the wheels on the bus. And as long as everybody sees that there's opportunity here for them and that there's opportunity for them and their family, that I believe that as long as it's a good mission and they're working somewhere that they're happy to work, that it's pretty easy to get them to buy into that long-term vision and that ownership mentality, as long as they know that it's beneficial for them both short and long term. Like people aren't going to stick around if they don't see any opportunity for them. So making sure that you are providing these people with a platform, and you may not have it right now. Like I don't have a tremendous amount of opportunity for people to come here and make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars today. At some point, we will. And that's why I believe that people would like to work here, is because they know that that opportunity exists,
yeah.
but it's not here right now. So they have to buy into the future and the vision of like, hey, we will be there one day, but we all got to put in a shitload of work in order to get us all there.
Yeah, I agree.
But they have to see that opportunity. They have to see it as something beneficial for them and beneficial for their family. If they feel like they're just going to work for a paycheck, nobody wants to get behind that mission.
Yeah, a little transition. So I believe people that are super successful are always maybe a little bit crazy. I know you love like diving for sharks, and elk hunting. Can you kind of tell us about that? When's the next what first off, shark hunting was new to me. So what really got you into that?
So I don't hunt sharks. I just catch them.
Okay.
I guess technically I probably do hunt them, but we don't typically kill them. No, man, I've just always been into the outdoors ever since I was a kid. Growing up, hunting and fishing is what I did. Like other kids lived in communities and rode bicycles together. I lived in the woods and shot squirrels when I got home from school. I've just always grown up doing that. My father used to take me over to the lake as soon as I was old enough to legally drive a boat, which I think is like 12 years old. He would take me to the lake. He would back the boat in. He would drop me off and say, "I'll be here at dark," and he'd pick me back up. Right. So, um, and me and my father, we obviously shared that bond of hunting and fishing. But there were times as a kid where my father had other things that he needed to do. I couldn't drive yet. He'd take me to the lake, back the boat in. I'd go fishing and pull back up onto the boat. He'd take me home. So just something that I've always grown up doing. Fortunately, I decided to marry a woman that was interested in hunting and fishing as well, which makes it a lot easier on me. It's just what we enjoy to do, man. And I feel like there's it sounds weird, but like it's super primal. Like it's what we've done forever as humans, and to enjoy hunting and knowing where our food comes from. I think it's kind of written in our DNA. So I think that people that haven't given it a fair shake should. And I think they'd be surprised. And I'm not saying that you need to be a freak that loves to kill poor innocent animals, but if you understood where that meat was coming from and what that does for you and your family to give you clean protein and stuff like that, there's a level of bliss in that. And I love it, man. It's what I do. The shark fishing is something that we started doing here probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I really got into offshore fishing, and now we'll go to the drive one. I'll paddle big baits like chunks of tuna or whole bonita.
Oh, wow.
Some of the bait that I'm using is bigger than the fish that most people would love to catch. Paddle it out a few hundred yards and hold on tight. And I mean, we've caught 200-300 pound sharks and pulled them right onto the beach. Took some photos and put them right back in the water. So I love it, man. I'm kind of a junkie for it.
Yeah, I grew up pretty much in the woods. I was probably hunting as like with my dad as like almost like an infant. He used to bring it to me as like I was a little kid. And then once I got into sports, I got into football, so I started doing that. But just went elk hunting. I think last year. That is a whole new thing because it's like there's so much mountains. Like the level of skill it takes to get one of those is incredible. So that's why I think like the such so it takes so much discipline and like a little in strategy to really execute that. I think actually plays also a part in owning a business and strategy and thinking, etc.
Yeah, it's I mean, so like we have a farm that we hunt down in Maryland, and I put in a shitload of time down there, man. Whether it's planting food plots, changing stands, and like you hunt, and then it is strategy, especially if you want to continue to chase like the biggest, most mature animal at the area that you're hunting or at the farm that you're hunting. I mean, you go, you think you have the perfect plan, you set your stand up, you sit there, and you realize that the deer patterns and the traffic of these animals is a little bit further than you thought it was. And we shoot bows, so we have to be able to get that animal within usually about 40 yards, and you go and you put in all this effort and energy, and the plan doesn't work out, and then you sit there while you're in that tree stand, you think next year I'm gonna put a stand in that tree. So you're constantly innovating and kind of rerunning the play every single year. And like I've been hunting the same farm for 4 years down in Maryland, and we still don't completely have it figured out. Now we have it figured out to the point that we're killing buck every single year, but like I just keep inching it a little bit further and a little bit further based on spending so much time there analyzing where the deer are traveling, where they hit, where the best early season stands are, where the best rut stands are, where the best late season stands are. So it's just like business, man. You're just moving the chess pieces, analyzing, taking what information comes to you, and then making decisions based on that to set you up a little bit better in the future. But you're not always going to leave with that animal. So
Yeah.
you got to have a passion and a love for it to keep showing up. Because if you think every single time you're going to go out, you're going to harvest an animal, that's not hunting, that's killing.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I believe hunting, sports, what relates to really business, and the reason I say that is you can have the perfect play, prepared exactly the same way, get ready, prepare as much as you want, and still not win.
Yep.
Same thing with business. You can do everything perfectly, follow every step, and you still did not win. So falling in love with that process is very important, even from being a successful entrepreneur to a hunter or an athlete. Everyone gets the thing. It's like, oh, I just want this. I just want this goal, and I'm going to be miserable all the way through. And I don't think that's not going to work. You have to fall in love with that process, that grind, and that's kind of what really a determining factor on winning. You have to love that, because if you're going up against someone who maybe loves that and you hate it, it's really hard for you to beat them. If they love this, they getting up every day, they're giving it all, they're all, and you hate it. So what's your kind of opinion and perspective of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who says that they just love going to work every single day might be a little bit nutty. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta be resilient. Like I say it all the time. You have to be resilient. You have to continue to show up. Fishing, we go out in the middle of the ocean and we catch 20 tuna. We go back to the same exact spot, same exact spread, same exact setup, and we catch nothing. But does that mean we're not going to show up the next day? No, we're gonna continue to keep going out there and putting in the reps. And sooner or later, you get a little bit lucky. So it's no man, it's a relentless grind and pursuit, and you just got to keep showing up, man. You got to be relentless. You got to have incredibly thick skin. It's not like I think I don't know. I don't really know anybody that says like I love every single day of doing what I do. So like you just got to understand like that's part of the process too, is like you're gonna have days where you just want to come home and like quit. Like, you're gonna be like, dude, why do I do this to myself? I should just go get a regular job. And we all go through that, right? Like every single one of us has been there where we're like, fuck, why do I keep doing this to myself? But like you gotta just have a love for it. And I mean, you gotta have a crazy goal. We're as humans, I feel like we're really goal oriented and goal driven. And if you don't have a goal and you're just going through the motions, I feel like you're gonna get the shits of it pretty quick. And it helps to have really good team members, man. Like I feel like once again, a lot of the reason that I have the energy that I have and I show up the way that I show up is, yeah, it's for me, but I mean, I want to see my team members win. I want to see our franchisees win. I want to see these people change their lives and be able to buy the house and be able to buy the vehicle and be able to buy the vacation home. Um, and like to me, to know that we have that level of impact, that we're able to help people to improve their life, like that's a good mission to get behind, and that's something that should make you excited to wake up and go to work. If you're waking up and it's about chasing dollars, like you're gonna get sick of it sooner or later. But seeing the way that we can help improve other people's lives and their financial situation, and see the way that their family, I mean, it's so cool to be able to see employees or franchisees start to get some success, and you start to see how their life starts to change. They start buying a house, getting a family, buying the dream vehicle that they've always wanted, right? And the reason they're able to do all that is because they're on the mission that you started or that you're chasing. So I think there's a massive responsibility to the people that join you to chase your dream, whether it's franchisees, customers, your employees. We have an obligation to those people because they're helping us to chase our dream. And in lieu of that, we need to show up and we need to show out every single day, because that's not fair to them to be behind a leader that doesn't want to be there or doesn't have the same ambition that they have and they don't even own the company.
How important do you think a CEO is to, like, hey, they have to be like, you have to serve. Like your goal is to serve your employees, serve your customers, have that servant attitude towards more about others rather than yourself.
Nobody wants to work for a dick. So if you're that type of person, like who wants to work with that? I mean, it's so hard to get people on your mission if you behave and act a certain way or you're ungrateful. Now, I do believe that one of the things I struggle with is I'm not an overly emotional person. So I believe that I don't do a very good job of expressing how much I appreciate people. I think they know that by the way I carry myself, But I mean, people don't want to work for ungrateful people. They don't want to work for somebody who's an asshole every time they come to the office. They just don't want to get behind that person. They are giving and trading their time for money to chase your dream. How unfair
Yeah.
is it to treat them poorly or not recognize the effort and energy that they're putting in for you to go try and live your dream? I don't know, man. It's incredibly important that you keep a positive attitude even when you're not having a good day. Like the who was the speaker that was at the convention this year?
Will Clayball. Will
Yeah, like
Clayball.
he was great, man, and that was his whole speech was like just basically don't be a dick. Be somebody who people want to follow and be a good leader because people don't like people that are ungrateful. And as long as you're showing people that you're great. I mean, dude, we somebody has a birthday, somebody gets married, somebody gets engaged. We just unfortunately had one of our employees, their grandparents passed away, right? So like we're doing all these different things for these people to show them like, hey, we're paying attention. We don't just care about your business performance. We care about your personal life and the things that's going on over there, and try to create that family environment where yeah, you might have as an employee, you might have other opportunities to go work somewhere else, but you don't want to leave your family, right? So we may have disagreements with our family, but like we wouldn't trade them for the world. At least most of us wouldn't. So the having that family environment, I think it forms a bond that's important, especially for you to keep and retain employees long term to make sure that there's a level of loyalty there. Because for most people, there's no loyalty like family.
Yeah, I agree. Very Dominic Toretto of you.
I don't know who that is, so good for him.
Oh, it's Fast and Furious. He talks about
Oh, there you go.
family. Yeah, you would agree with like company culture is extremely important in the workspace, and you kind of treat it almost like you're like a family.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to. I mean, once again, nobody wants to show up and go to work at a place that is miserable all the time. Like we're all going to have our bad days. We're all going to have days where we were just not in the best mood ever. Maybe the office is a little bit tense because of a certain situation or something like that. But no, man, you gotta have a good culture and you have to have a mission that people want to get behind. Culture is kind of like a buzzword. I don't know. Like culture can be like kind of hocus pocus, and then culture can just be like culture.
Yeah.
um, so I think the thing for me is just making sure that family atmosphere is there, making sure that our employees know that we appreciate them, we care about them, and as long as they know that, they feel secure in their job and in the work that they're doing, I believe that you can retain people. Everybody that I have, fortunately, has been here for the most part for years. Like, we don't have people that have only been here for a few weeks or a few months. Like, it's just not the organization that we run. When people come and they work with us, they usually stick around and they usually stay for quite some time. I have some that have been here since the inception of the company that they are like family because we're around them more than we're around our own family.
Right.
And we've seen like kids growing up and kids graduating and doing sports and stuff like that. It's hard not to have a family environment when you're around people more than you're around your own.
So when you're looking for like new franchisees, strategic partners, is there a specific like characteristic you're really looking for those franchisees? Are you looking for like attitude? What are you looking?
Yeah, looking for real self-motivated people. At the end of the day, we are still building a business, whether it's a franchise or not. So people who are very self-motivated, you got to have a reason to get up and wake up and go to work every day. It can't just be like fake motivation, right? You got to be able to motivate yourself and get your butt out of bed and go put in the work. So we're looking for self-motivated people. We're looking for people who ideally have a high level of influence. So, people who are very well integrated in their local communities. Somebody who grew up and went to school in that area, who maybe played sports and was all over the newspapers back in the day, right? Somebody who knows not all of them, but the majority of the real estate agents at a local level, like people who have influence, people who know a lot of business owners. Those people usually have a much easier time getting going and getting to a point where they're cash flow positive and they're making money because they have a lot of people behind them that are pushing them to help them to get to that point. because if you try to do it yourself, it can be incredibly difficult and incredibly hard when nobody knows you, nobody knows who Ledgers is or CR3, and they're at the ground level. If you have some troops that are helping to push you along, who can help to introduce you to people, connections, if they're a real estate agent, help to introduce you to some sellers that need a new roof before they put it on the marketplace. Those people that have high influence are really, really powerful. And we really like to see people who have a strong bond in their local communities. Other than that, the obvious one is that they're entrepreneurial. You don't need to be like a hardcore entrepreneur. Like I don't need to see a track record that you've built and sold businesses for millions of dollars. But we want to know that that entrepreneurial blood is in you. Maybe you had a family member or a relative that ran and owned their own business. That's important just for the fact that you know somebody who's done it and maybe you saw what their lifestyle looked like or the work that they had to put in to get to where they did. So those are the three things that I'd say. And then the fourth thing is kind of minuscule, but just looking for people who have some experience in our industry. Not always, but some of the states that we operate in and do business in, there are licensing requirements. So you have to have a certain level of experience. The state of Florida, for instance, you need 5 years of full-time experience to be a licensed contractor down there. So if you don't have the experience, it can be very difficult to get you moving. Or you may even have to partner with somebody who does have the experience so that you can even just get a license to operate and do business in some of these states.
So, what would be your last piece of advice for a franchise prospect, as business owner, someone just trying to chase their dreams? What would be your last piece of advice for them to go for it?
You better start running because your dreams, if you want to chase dreams, those dreams they're moving. Like the universe is dynamic. It's always moving. It's always changing. Competition is getting smarter. Technology is getting more powerful. Just do it. Just get moving. Get heading in the right direction. There's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have all your finances in a row. You're never going to have the perfect game plan that's going to be flawless and foolproof. Just put your head down, make a decision, go all in, and don't look back. Especially if you're joining a franchise, make that decision, commit to the brand, commit to the system, and commit to the process, and you'll be okay. There's plenty of people that have came in to a franchise system, just ran the play and made a lot of money. There's others who thought that they were smarter than the franchisor, or think that their market is unique and different, which it's not. Customers in my market don't react very well to that. They're humans, right? They bleed red and they have a pulse. So the big thing is, once again, if you're interested in a franchise, put your head down, get to work, eliminate distractions, focus on what you need to do as a franchisee. Let the franchisor handle everything else. If not, and you just want to be a business owner, just put your head down, be resilient, continue to show up, understand that you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. It never will, but you got to be willing to adapt and pivot very quickly. And don't celebrate too early. I see a lot of people that start to make a little bit of money, start thinking they're a baller and start buying the cars and buying the houses. And next thing you know, they owe their vendors hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's a time and a place for that stuff. And until you've been doing it for at least 5 years, I don't think that you have any business buying anything like that. I think you need to put your head down, get very well capitalized, have a ton of working capital, and then you can celebrate when you get to that point. But until you get there, you got to put your head down and grind.
Love it. So, how do you just last question? How do you think AI is going to impact the real estate and construction industry?
Oh boy, this could be another 2 hours. It's everything. I mean, it's ball game. I was reluctant to adopt certain technology and AI just because I don't want to see humans disappear, right? Like I don't want to see my clerical staff disappear. Now I don't know whether people will disappear or not. I feel like we're always going to have a need for people. They're just going to have to do different tasks, right? And most of them are probably going to have to be revenue generating tasks. But I mean, AI is super powerful. Where it moves so fast. We have the ability to have voice agents now. We got text agents. You have clerical agents. Basically everything that a human can do on a computer in the next 16 to 18 months, this technology is going to be able to do. It's wicked, wicked powerful. If you're not utilizing it right now, most people, the problem with AI is most people don't have the time to dedicate to understand it, which is why I
Yeah.
really like what we do as franchisors, which is we do all the discovery, we have all the meetings, we have all the phone calls, we look at all the different use cases, we have the time to test it. Your average contractor doesn't have time to spend 40 hours in the next week just simply looking at an AI tool and how it's going to help to utilize their business. They have projects they need to run, they have customers they need to service. So I believe that AI is the future, but only for people who learn to adopt it. In our industry, private equity, no questions asked, is already using it and going to adopt it. The franchise models are going to use it and adopt it. The independents are going to have an incredibly difficult time using it properly and adopting it because most people don't have the resources or time to put behind it
Yeah.
unless it just gets so freaking user friendly that like anybody can use it and integrate it, but I don't see that happening in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and we'll have to have another conversation online about how AI and the future of that. Because yeah, you're completely right with how the future's going with how much AI prompting, AI coding. I know I've learned a lot about how to build AI agents, etc. Like there's just so much, and it's happening so quick. And I think it's really going to impact a lot of mom and pops businesses from like say companies are no longer using Google anymore. They're everything goes through ChatGPT and
Yep.
stuff like that. It's going to be very, very interesting next couple of years, and I think that's what the beauty of franchising is kind of gives you business ownership, but also have the backing from on the big scale as well.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting to see it all kind of starting to take shape. It's a little nerve-wracking because none of us know what the future looks like. But if you're open and willing to adopt it, it's incredibly powerful stuff, man, and it's going to allow us to run and scale pretty large companies with very limited overhead and a reduced staff and probably run them way more efficient than if we had staff as well because the technology doesn't sleep. If a customer pays an invoice at 11 o'clock at night and the system takes over from there, well, it doesn't have to wait till 8 o'clock in the morning till somebody gets in the office. So we're going to be able to run a lot more efficient with it. I do believe that if integrated properly, customer experience is going to increase because it's going to be a lot more consistent. There's going to be less human error. There's going to be less room for humans to not register a warranty or not get this invoice over to a customer in timely fashion or not build this proposal a certain way. So I actually think customers are going to buck it temporarily, but once they start to adopt it, I believe it's going to create a better customer experience and a better ecosystem for the customers because everything's going to be very streamlined and consistent versus having inconsistencies with different personalities and people with different skill sets and stuff like that.
I completely agree. So just to follow up, like where can our listeners learn more about CR3 or about you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're pretty easy to find on the internet. Google, any social media platform. CR3 American Exteriors. That's the B2C like customer facing profiles. Franchise specific, CR3 franchise is where you can find us. But and then myself, Carnie Fryfogle, I'm pretty easy to find as well. I always joke with people and say my name is very unique and I'm one of one, but I'm actually Carnie Fryfogle the third, so I'm one of three. Now, man, you can find us on all social media platforms all over the internet. One quick Google search and you'll find us.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Likewise, dude. I appreciate it.